When entertainment meets space exploration, impossible dreams become classified reality. What you're about to discover is the most ambitious cultural project in NASA history, a mission so revolutionary that it was buried for 50 years. This isn't just about space travel. This is about how one man's talent transcended Earth's atmosphere and nearly changed the course of human artistic achievement forever. Subscribe now for more incredible classified stories that challenge everything you thought you knew about space exploration, government secrets, and the impossible missions that almost happened. These revelations will change how you see the intersection of art and science. What happens when NASA decides that conquering space requires conquering hearts and minds, not just physics and engineering? In 1974, America's space agency embarked on the most ambitious cultural experiment in human history, training Sammy Davis Jr. to become the first entertainer-astronaut. The classified footage from his zero-gravity rehearsals remained hidden for 50 years, until now. This is the extraordinary true story of the space performance that would have changed everything. November 1974. The Cold War was raging not just on Earth, but in the infinite theater of space, where American and Soviet achievements were measured in technological milestones, scientific breakthroughs, and cultural statements about which system could produce superior human accomplishment. NASA Administrator James Fletcher was facing a unique challenge. The upcoming Apollo-Soyuz test project in July 1975 required not just technical success, but cultural victory that would demonstrate American superiority in ways that transcended rocket science and space engineering. The Soviets had been winning the propaganda war in space, recalled Dr. Christopher Kraft, NASA's Director of Flight Operations. They had first satellite, first man in space, first spacewalk. We needed something that would capture global imagination in ways that technical achievements couldn't match. Fletcher's solution was revolutionary and unprecedented. Instead of competing with Soviet space technology, America would demonstrate cultural superiority by achieving something impossible. Live entertainment performed in zero gravity that would be broadcast worldwide during the joint Apollo-Soyuz mission. The concept was brilliant in its audacity, remembered Dr. Maxime Faget, NASA's chief engineer. If we could prove that American creativity could transcend even the hostile environment of space, it would be a cultural victory that no amount of Soviet technological advancement could overcome. But executing live entertainment in zero gravity required more than just good intentions and American optimism. It required finding a performer whose talent was so extraordinary that it could adapt to conditions no human entertainer had ever faced. The choice was unanimous: Sammy Davis Jr., whose versatility, professionalism, and sheer capability made him the only conceivable candidate for humanity's first space performance. Sammy was the obvious choice. Fletcher recalled years later, he was the most complete entertainer in human history: singer, dancer, actor, musician, comedian. If anyone could adapt performance art to zero gravity, it would be Sammy. The initial approach to Sammy came through intermediaries in December 1974. When NASA representatives met with his management team to discuss what was presented as a special cultural project involving space exploration and entertainment innovation. They were very vague at first, remembered Sammy's manager Cy Marsh. They talked about expanding the boundaries of human artistic expression and cultural diplomacy through entertainment. We thought they were talking about some kind of international television special. The reality was far more ambitious and dangerous than anyone initially imagined. When Sammy was finally briefed on the actual proposal, 6 months of astronaut training, followed by a live performance aboard an American spacecraft during the Apollo-Soyuz mission, his response was characteristic of someone whose entire career had been built on accepting impossible challenges. "How long do I have to learn?" was Sammy's first question, according to classified NASA meeting transcripts that were declassified in 2024. "And what songs work best in zero gravity?" The questions revealed both the magnitude of the challenge and Sammy's immediate commitment to mastering whatever skills were required for success in conditions no performer had ever encountered. NASA's training program for Sammy was unlike anything in the agency's history. Traditional astronaut preparation focused on technical skills, emergency procedures, and scientific objectives. Sammy's training had to address those requirements while also developing new methodologies for artistic performance in zero gravity. "We were essentially inventing space entertainment from scratch," recalled astronaut trainer Dr. Patricia Santi. "We had to figure out how singing, dancing, and musical performance would work in an environment where up and down didn't exist, and every movement created unexpected reactions." The training began in January 1975 at Johnson Space Center in Houston, where Sammy was given astronaut candidate designation SC-75X, Special Cultural, and assigned to a classified program that existed parallel to normal astronaut preparation. Physical conditioning was the first challenge. Space travel required cardiovascular fitness, muscle strength, and balance capabilities that exceeded normal entertainment demands, even for someone as physically capable as Sammy. Sammy was already in excellent condition from decades of performing, remembered NASA physical trainer Colonel Jack Roberts. But space conditioning was different. We had to prepare his body for an environment where basic human physics didn't operate normally. The zero-gravity simulation training was conducted using NASA's KC-135 Vomit Comet aircraft, which created brief periods of weightlessness by flying parabolic trajectories that temporarily eliminated gravitational effects. "Those first zero-gravity sessions were incredible," recalled test pilot Major Chuck Yeager, who observed several of Sammy's training flights. "Most people spend the entire flight just trying not to be sick. Sammy was practicing dance moves." Footage from those training sessions, recently declassified through Freedom of Information Act requests, shows Sammy adapting to weightlessness with remarkable speed and creativity, developing performance techniques that had never been attempted by any human being. By his third flight, Sammy was performing complete musical numbers in zero gravity, Dr. Santi documented. He figured out how to use handholds for rotational control, how to project his voice in an enclosed spacecraft environment, and how to make weightlessness look graceful rather than clumsy. The technical challenges were enormous. NASA engineers had to design sound systems that would function in space while transmitting clearly to Earth. They had to modify spacecraft interiors to accommodate performance requirements. Most challenging, they had to develop safety protocols for activities no astronaut had ever attempted. "We were essentially designing a recording studio that could operate in space," recalled NASA audio engineer Dr. Robert Thompson. "Everything from microphone placement to acoustic reflection had to be reimagined for zero-gravity conditions." Sammy's repertoire for the space performance was carefully selected to demonstrate both American cultural achievement and the unique possibilities of zero-gravity entertainment. "That's Amore" was chosen as the signature song because its romantic optimism would translate internationally while showcasing vocal capabilities enhanced by weightlessness. "Sammy's voice in zero gravity was extraordinary," remembered Dr. Santi. "Without gravitational pressure on his diaphragm and lungs, his vocal range expanded and his breath control improved dramatically. He could hold notes longer and project with power we'd never heard before." Dance routines were completely reimagined for three-dimensional performance space. Traditional choreography assumed floor-based movement, but zero gravity allowed Sammy to develop aerial performances that utilized the entire spacecraft volume as stage space. He was essentially inventing space dance, observed choreographer Marge Champion, who consulted on the project. Every movement was graceful and purposeful, using weightlessness to achieve artistic effects impossible on Earth. But the technical brilliance of Sammy's space training was overshadowed by growing political complications that would ultimately doom the project before launch. Opposition to the program came from multiple sources within both NASA and the broader government. Conservative critics argued that space resources should be focused on scientific achievement rather than entertainment spectacle. Budget analysts questioned the cost of modifying spacecraft for cultural purposes. There was significant resistance to what some people saw as trivializing space exploration, remembered Dr. Kraft. Traditional astronauts and engineers worried that adding entertainment components would compromise mission safety and scientific objectives. More problematic were concerns from intelligence agencies about the security implications of live television broadcasts from American spacecraft that would be watched by Soviet audiences and analyzed for technical information about spacecraft capabilities. The CIA was nervous about broadcasting detailed footage of American spacecraft interiors to international audiences, recalled classified program director Dr. James McDonald. They worried that entertainment programming would inadvertently reveal technical details about space technology. The final opposition came from an unexpected source: Soviet negotiators working on Apollo-Soyuz mission details, who objected to American plans for space entertainment as violating the spirit of joint scientific cooperation. The Soviets claimed that entertainment programming would transform a scientific mission into American propaganda, Dr. McDonald documented. They threatened to withdraw from the joint mission if NASA proceeded with space performance plans. By March 1975, political pressure had reached levels that made the space entertainment program unsustainable. Despite months of successful training and Sammy's remarkable adaptation to astronaut requirements, NASA administrators made the decision to cancel the cultural component of the Apollo-Soyuz mission. It was heartbreaking, Dr. Santi recalled. Sammy had achieved something no human had ever accomplished. He had mastered artistic performance in space. But politics killed a program that could have changed how humanity thought about art and exploration. The cancellation meeting with Sammy was conducted at NASA headquarters in Washington, where Administrator Fletcher personally delivered the news that months of training would not result in the historic space performance that had been planned. Sammy took it like a professional, Fletcher remembered. He understood that space exploration involved risks and complications that went beyond artistic considerations. He was disappointed, but not bitter. NASA's compensation to Sammy for the canceled mission was substantial, $5 million, according to declassified financial records, along with agreements that training footage and mission details would remain classified to protect both the agency's reputation and Sammy's privacy. The money was significant, but it wasn't really about compensation, Sammy reflected in a private 1985 interview that remained sealed until 2024. It was about acknowledgement that we had accomplished something extraordinary, even if the public would never see it. The Apollo-Soyuz test project proceeded in July 1975 without the cultural component, achieving successful technical objectives but lacking the artistic transcendence that had been planned to capture global imagination. The mission was a success scientifically, Dr. Kraft observed, but it could have been so much more. We had a chance to demonstrate that human creativity could adapt to any environment, even space itself. For decades, Sammy's space training remained one of NASA's most closely guarded secrets, mentioned only in classified reports and discussed privately among agency personnel who had witnessed the extraordinary adaptation of entertainment art to zero-gravity conditions. It was one of those programs that was too ambitious for its time, reflected Dr. Faggett years later. We proved that space entertainment was possible, but the political and technical complications exceeded what 1970s space exploration could accommodate. The declassification of Sammy's training footage in 2024 revealed the remarkable extent of his space performance capabilities and the sophisticated program NASA had developed for integrating entertainment into space exploration. Watching those zero-gravity performances today, it's clear that Sammy had achieved something truly revolutionary, observed current NASA Administrator Bill Nelson. He had adapted human artistic expression to conditions no performer had ever faced, and the results were genuinely transcendent. The footage shows Sammy performing complete musical numbers while floating freely in the spacecraft mock-up, using handholds and surfaces to control his position while maintaining vocal projection and artistic expression that exceeded anything achieved by traditional astronauts. Sammy's space training represented the convergence of human capability, technological innovation, and artistic ambition, Dr. Santi reflected. He proved that creativity could adapt to any environment and that space exploration could include cultural achievement alongside scientific discovery. Modern NASA officials have expressed interest in reviving space entertainment concepts for future missions, particularly as commercial space travel makes artistic performance in zero gravity more feasible. Sammy's training established the foundation for space entertainment that we could build on today, noted NASA Cultural Program Director Dr. Sarah Johnson. His work in the 1970s proved that space doesn't have to be purely scientific. It can be a place for human artistic achievement as well. The classified program also influenced contemporary discussions about the cultural dimensions of space exploration and the importance of including artistic achievement in humanity's expansion beyond Earth. Space exploration is ultimately about expanding human capability and experience, observed astronaut Dr. Mae Jemison, who has advocated for arts integration in space missions. Sammy's training proved that artistic expression could be part of that expansion, that creativity belongs in space as much as scientific research. For space entertainment historians, Sammy's classified training represents the first serious attempt to adapt human artistic performance to extraterrestrial conditions and establishes precedent for cultural achievement as legitimate space exploration objective. Sammy didn't just train to perform in space, concluded Dr. McDonald. He proved that human creativity could transcend any environment, including the hostile conditions beyond Earth's atmosphere. That's a legacy that should inspire future space exploration to include artistic achievement alongside scientific discovery. The secret space program lasted only 6 months, but it established that the final frontier included room for human artistic transcendence as well as technological achievement, proving that Sammy Davis Jr.'s capabilities extended even beyond Earth's gravitational boundaries.